Hi students, welcome back to my channel Economic Lectures. Hope you all are doing well. In the previous video, we started our discussion on international economics. And international economics, of course, as we said, it begins with the mercantilist idea or mercantilist approach to international economics. It was after the publication of Adam Smith's famous work, The Wealth of Nations, that the idea of mercantilism was overwhelmed by the idea of capitalism or the idea of free trade. So after the end of mercantilism, it was the approach of classical economists in the field of international trade. So let's discuss the classical approach to international trade in this video. This is a short video. It's just an introduction to classical approach. Of course, classical approach has many theories and we'll be doing videos on each of these theories separately. Classical economists were oriented primarily towards growth economics, and their main concern was explaining how the wealth of nations was increased. When Adam Smith presented the idea of classical economics or capitalism or free trade through his book The Wealth of Nations, there was majorly two questions before the classicals or the classical economists, and the question was the primary question was how they can grow the economy of a nation, or how they can grow the wealth of a nation, wealth of a country, because mercantilism basically concentrated on these two ideas, these two concepts, how they are growing the economy. So they are growing the economy by increasing the exports and decreasing the imports by having positive trade balance. So on the other side, when it comes to capitalism, the question before them was how they are going to deal these two questions. In explaining increased outputs, specialization and division of labor were given special attention. So what classicals did is that they had to explain how they can increase the output or how they can increase the wealth of a nation. So the two concepts they put forward was specialization and division of labor. So what is specialization and what is division of labor? Adam Smith's description of how a large number of pins could be produced when labor was specialized by detailed functions, as opposed to a handicraft method, was widely quoted and generalized. So how did Adam Smith presented his idea on this? What Adam Smith said is that a group of laborers should be specialized in the production of a particular commodity. He explained it with the example of pins, the pin that we use. If a group of laborers are specialized in producing pin, then of course a large quantity of that commodity can be produced, be it any type of commodity. A large group of laborers are specialized in that, then of course its production can increase in a large manner. That's what he said about specialization. And the next one is division of labor. The extent of specialization and division of labor was dependent upon the size of the market. And he said about specialization of labor, that means he said about division of labor, dividing the labor into the production of each commodity. What was the system of manufacturing before that? The system of manufacturing was that the handicraft system method was widely used all over. That means products were made, or a group of people will be making many sort of products from their village or from their hometown and all, and that's how they take that product to the markets. It was the system, that is the handicraft method. A group of people, for example a family of 10 or 15, they will be producing many types of goods. They'll be manufacturing many type of goods from their home itself, and they will take those items to the market. This is known as the handicraft method. So he opposed the handicraft method and Adam Smith substituted it with specialization. A group of people will specialize in the production of a particular commodity and division of labor. The labor will be divided into particular sections. That means that a group of laborers will be producing an item from this category. They will learn more about that. So this was the idea that Adam Smith put forward in order to overcome the idea of mercantilism. The extent of specialization and division of labor was dependent upon the size of the market. And of course, as we know, the specialization and the idea of division of labor was dependent on the size of the market. Both these concepts can be practicalized only when the size of the market is large. A large market would encourage a greater degree of specialization and division of labor. If the market is small, then both these ideas can't work properly or can't be implemented properly. For both these to be encouraged, the size of the market has to be big. In the realm of foreign trade, the classical economists were mainly concerned with two questions. So when it comes to foreign trade, classical economics has two questions in front of them. First one, in the production of what product a country should specialize, or which goods a country will export and which it will import. So the first question before classical economics was that in what good will that country specialize? We said about specialization of production being we are specializing a country or a group of people specializing in the production of a particular commodity. So in which good does or in which good a country should specialize itself? That was one question. And also, or which good a country will export and which it will import. So which good we should export and which good we should import? This was the first question. The second question, once different countries produce different goods, what will be the ratio of exchange between goods? Of course, we are producing these goods with the idea of international trade, that is exporting and importing. So when the different countries produce different goods based on specialization, what will be the ratio of exchange of these goods? How much will a country exchange a particular good produced in their country with what amount of goods they will exchange with the goods that are produced in other countries? So these were the two questions faced by classical economics. To the first question, the classical theory gives the following answer. So what's the answer? Each country will specialize in the production of those goods for the production of which it is specially suited on account of its climate, of the qualities of its soil, and of its other natural resources, of the innate and acquired capacities of its people, and of the real capital which it possesses as a heritage from its past generation, such as buildings, plants, and equipments and means of transport. So, what is said in this last point? It is said that each country will have its own specifications, its own specialities. For example, when it comes to the Arabian countries, it's much dry and not suitable for cultivation. But the only main thing that grows there is dates. Dates can be produced much widely in India. So this is how a particular country or a nation or a particular group of people should specialize in the production of a particular commodity. It depends on the climate, it depends on the quality of the soil, it depends on the atmosphere in which they live, and other many things. If for example, if India is planning to be a major exporter of oil products or major exporter of crude oil, will that be possible in any near future or in far future? No, India can never be an exporter of crude oil because India doesn't have the reserves for being an exporter of crude oil. So India should specialize in production of goods which it has climatically and it is suited to the atmosphere of a country like India. When it comes to other countries, when it comes to Europe, when it comes to America, when it comes to Middle East, each part of the world will have to specialize in production of goods which cost less for them. The production cost should be very less for them. This is the answer that classical economists give for the first question. On what good does a country should specialize, or which good should a country export and it should import? So this is the answer for that question. Each country will concentrate upon the production of such goods, producing more of them than it requires for its own needs, and exchanging the surplus with other countries against goods which it less assured to produce or which it cannot produce at all. So that's what we said. A country should specialize in the production of good which it has a which it has less cost of production, and also on the other hand which it has resources according based on their climate, based on their resources and all. So what they should do is that the good in which they specialize, they should produce more than what they require, and the remaining should be exported to other countries which doesn't have that good. And on the other hand, a country who cannot produce a particular good, for example, Middle East countries cannot produce rice. Middle East countries produce a much less amount of fruits and vegetables. So they will have to import that. That's what the system that classical economics says. The classical theory of trade is also based on the labor cost theory of value. The classical economists also consider the international trade or the specialization of goods based on the labor cost theory of value. A country should specialize in the production of a particular commodity, particular good in which it has less labor cost. If in the production of a particular commodity a country has high labor cost, then the classical economist says that they should not produce that good. They should produce a good in which they have comparatively or absolutely less labor costs. That's what the theory says. This theory says that the goods are exchanged against one another according to the relative amounts of labor embodied in them. Goods which have equal prices embody equal amounts of labor. The classical economists measure the price of a commodity based on the amount of labor invested in the production of that commodity. So they says that products with equal price should have equal amount of labors invested or embodied in them. So when the price of a commodity increases, that means the amount of labor embodied in the production of that good has to be more. That's how the classical economists put forward their theory. When we are widely going deep into these concepts, of course we know that there are basically two classical theories that discuss their concept. The first one is absolute cost advantage and the second one is comparative cost advantage. So we'll be doing videos on each of these topics separately. Hope that the introduction part of classical approach towards international trade is clear for you. You can comment your doubts in the comment section and I'll be clearing all your doubts, or you can mail me. The mail ID is given in my slides itself. Okay, hope everything is clear. I would request you to like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you. See you in the next class.